Thank you all for coming. This is the revamped meditation program. I've called it Buddhism 101. My friends at university laugh about the title. It's like I'm teaching a college class, but this isn't a college class. So as you can see, the chanting booklet is somewhat shorter than before. There was a request to do a little bit less chanting. And so then I'll give a short Dharma talk. I'd say anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes every week. It just kind of depends on the topic and everything. Then I want to leave plenty of time for question and answers. And as always, you can ask me about what I've spoken about that day or the previous week or anything related to the Dharma that's on your mind. And then we'll do meditation at the end. And every week, as always, I'll give a short explanation of the meditation. But then we'll do at least one session of meditation. It just depends on how long the question and answer session goes. So originally today I was going to talk about the Four Noble Truths, but I thought since meditation is a weekly part of the program that I would talk more about meditation today. And then of course question and answer before we do meditation. So we'll talk about the Four Noble Truths next week. I also want to thank Kwang Yun and her husband for printing the new chant booklets, and she also printed I've got outlines for you. I don't have an outline for meditation today because it was kind of a last-minute decision to switch. But starting next week, every week, I will try to have an outline for you, at least a basic outline of the talk. Yeah, so she printed those, and they formatted and printed these booklets for us, so thank you very much. So meditation. On the one hand, it can be a very complicated topic. On the other hand, it really is very simple, particularly the meditation that we'll be doing here, which I'll get into a little bit more later. There are all different kinds of meditation, of course. So you've heard me talk a little bit about Tibetan meditation before. And in the Tibetan tradition, they have really elaborate, really complicated meditations, these really detailed visualizations. And sometimes you're picturing, say, a Buddha or Bodhisattva above and in front of you, out here facing you. And maybe there's all of space is filled with other enlightened beings, and there's light, going in and out, and maybe there are, or maybe there's a Buddha sitting above your head. And I'm thinking of one practice in particular where well, let's say light, nectar is what we say, but like a liquid substance comes out of that Buddha and into your head, and it's for purification. I'm oversimplifying, but that's another option. Another option is that you visualize yourself in the form of an enlightened being, like Kwante Ambotat, Avalokiteshvara, right? The Bodhisattva of compassion. And so in your heart, there's a mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. We do this here at our temple too, right? It's going around in a circle, and then light comes out from that mantra. It's very active, you see. The point in me briefly describing this to you is to show you just a taste of all the activity of meditation that we can do. But then on the other hand, there's Zen meditation. And I'm not an expert in Zen. So if you ask me what is the sound of one hand clapping, I can't tell you. But there's Zen meditation in which one form in particular, it's literally called just sitting, or the English translation of it is called just sitting. And it looks a lot like what we've been doing here. You just sit in meditation. Very quietly and calmly. So it's kind of the other end of the spectrum. In terms of the complexity and the detail of it. Well, I won't say complexity, let's say the detail of it. So there's no colorful visualizations and light and all of that. You're just sitting. And the idea is to break through your ignorance into enlightenment, directly into enlightenment. And then there's what we'll be doing here. Which is a little bit more than what we might call just sitting. as I've taught this in the past, what we're trying to do is calm the mind, of course. In all forms of meditation, you're trying to quiet the mind, quiet the grasping thoughts, right? What am I going to have for dinner? Oh, I forgot to do my homework. I can't believe my mother said that to me when I was 13 years old. You know, just thoughts pop, 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 pop come up in the head. So we're trying to quiet that down and generate greater focus. That's what I'm teaching you here, is just to quiet the mind and to have better focus in meditation. Because whatever kind of meditation you decide you like later, this is a good place to begin, with a quiet and focused mind. Because if you can't focus, then if you want to do all these elaborate visualizations or meditation on loving kindness and things, you can't hold it. It's nice to try, but you can't hold it. So first we want to calm and quiet the mind. And there are various ways that we can do this. We can focus on the breath right at the edge of the nostril as it's coming in and going out. This is what we've done before. You can also put your focus just below your belly button. I've heard of people trying to focus on the beating of their own heart. That's another way that you can focus. And even in Zen circles, for beginning Zen students, sometimes the student is told to count their breaths. So 1, 2, silently in their heads. I used to do that many years ago, but then when I wanted to stop doing that, I found I was in such a habit of sitting quietly and hearing the 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head, I couldn't get rid of it. So I don't suggest that particular one. If you like it, you can do it, but I don't suggest that particular one, because if you want to stop counting, you might not be able to. So that's another technique that you can use. So here I usually suggest that people focus on the sensation, the feeling of the breath at the tip of the nostril as it comes in and out, as a way to focus the mind. Now, inevitably though, and I'll talk about posture and all of that more later, before we do the actual meditation at the end. But inevitably though, the mind will wander. Our mind is constantly hopping from thing to thing. And we think that we have this logical progression of thoughts, but we really don't. So after a while, if you're meditating and you develop a certain degree of quiet, you'll still begin to see the mind wander away, but you'll notice it. And then you'll start seeing hot dog, chocolate, homework, TV show, itch on my nose. And you see it's just pop, 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 pop. Then you begin to see what the mind is doing. And this is a good thing. We want to see what the mind is doing, because then we'll be much less likely to let it carry us away. This is what I always say when we do our meditation program here is, the practice of meditation is, when the mind wanders, bring it back. This is the practice. Everybody is looking for that trick, that key. I remember some people in here too, when we first started doing this program, they would come, a few weeks into the program, they said, well, how do I do it? How do I do it? And I said, well, I'm telling you how you do it. The mind will wander, you just bring it back. That's the key. There's a rather famous American meditation teacher named Jack Kornfield. I think he lives here in the Los Angeles area, actually. He started his Dharma practice, from what I understand, as a Theravada monk, a monk in the Theravada tradition in, I want to say, Thailand. It was either Thailand or Burma, Myanmar, but I think Thailand. And he says that learning to meditate is like training a puppy. Because in meditation, we're training the mind, yeah? So he says it's like training a puppy. You put a puppy down and you say, stay. What does the puppy do? It runs away. So you pick up the puppy and you bring it back, you put it down and you say, stay. And the puppy runs away again, so you bring it back. And then you say, stay. And then the puppy runs away and it goes to the bathroom on the carpet. So then you have to go clean up the mess and bring it back and put it down. But he says the mind makes even bigger messes than a puppy, which is true. When I was thinking of this a while ago, I thought of something similar. It's like if you have children or if you've ever babysat, but especially if you have children, you want your kids to pick up their toys. Okay, it's time to pick up the toys, but then the kid starts playing with the toys and you say, no, 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 put the toys in the box, put the toys away. You have to keep directing them, right? You have to keep bringing them back to putting away the task of putting away the toys. So we are trying to just quiet and calm the mind. So we have to keep bringing the mind back. Now there are a number of pitfalls and problems that come in meditation. One of them is being too hard on ourselves. People try to sit in meditation and they get frustrated. They think, I'm not doing it right, I'm not doing it right. I went through this. Sometimes I still do it. Because it's hard. It's hard to train the mind to focus. It's so used to just going, running around like a crazy little kid or a puppy. It's hard to focus the mind, especially in the beginning. So people get frustrated and they think, I'm not doing it right. They don't understand, people don't understand that meditation is an acquired skill. We don't expect to pick up a guitar and play like a rock star the first time, right? You don't give a 12-year-old the keys to your car and say, well, go drive. Of course you know how to drive, right? They have to learn. So meditation is something that we learn. So if you feel yourself getting frustrated, don't worry about it. Just remind yourself that meditation is an acquired skill. A number of years ago, I was living in Milwaukee and I went to, yes, come on in. I went to a different meditation center, and the woman teaching that night, I brought up this subject because at this time, this is maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, I said sometime when I'm meditating, I get frustrated because I can't focus my mind. And I think I'm not doing it right. So she told this story of being at a teaching, this man from Texas was there, and he'd been meditating for a while, and he was like a cowboy, literally, cowboy hat, cowboy boots, blue jeans, Texas accent, right? So someone brought this up, and their practice was to label their thoughts. So every time they would notice a thought, they would think to themselves, having a thought, I'm having a thought. And by labeling the thought, it would stop the thought. So that was the technique that he was using. So his way, though, of being kind to himself in meditation, what he said was, when I'm having a thought, I say, having a thought, good buddy. That was how he practiced meditation. And this is, we laugh, but it's nice. Instead of saying, I'm not doing it right, I'm having a thought. Instead, oh, I'm having a thought. Time to bring the mind back. But people get too hard on themselves. And they think because it looks easy, right? Meditation looks easy. We're just sitting here. In fact, I was out with some friends yesterday. One of them is another monk in the Vietnamese tradition. And he was sitting on a bench. We were off doing something. So he just sat down on a bench and was meditating. And we came back and we were teasing him. We say, were you meditating or sleeping? He said, oh, a little of both. He was sort of in and out. It was a long day. So it looks easy, right? We're just sitting here. But it's not something you're going to pick up in 2 or 3 sessions. And you've also heard me say this too. Sometimes, you'll get to a point with your meditation that it'll just come really easy one day. Maybe the endorphins, the hormones that make you feel good in your brain, will start flowing. And you'll be like, oh man, meditation, it's great. And then the next day, or a few days later, it'll be crazier, your mind will be crazier and more unruly than ever before. The meditation will be terrible, and you'll think, what went wrong? That's the nature of our unenlightened, untrained, ignorant minds. But overall, over time, if we're consistent and we keep with it, then we'll see change over time. So this is another thing too, another problem that people have is consistency. If you come to this program a few times, and then 3 years later you wonder, after not meditating, you say, I went to that meditation program, why can't I meditate? It's consistency. You don't play an instrument 5 times and you're a virtuoso, right? So consistency is another thing. Another problem that comes up is that people get really attached to their own practice. But you've heard that the Buddha taught 84,000 teachings, right? That's not a literal number. We don't have to take that literally. It just means the Buddha taught a lot of different teachings and a lot of different methods because there are all different kinds of people. But we see this all the time. I see it a lot. You know, I've moved it through different Dharma communities. And there are people who say, well, my teacher teaches this, and this is such a fantastic meditation because blah, 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 whatever reason. And the subtext is, my meditation is better than yours. That's just pride, right? So we have to be very careful that we don't cultivate this pride in our practice. My personal belief is that the best way for someone to practice is the way to which they are best suited. And again, there are all different kinds of people, all different approaches to practice. So different people will respond to different kinds of teaching and practice. So we have to be careful about pride. And then there are other problems too, more immediate, mundane problems, like sometimes we get really tired when like my friend yesterday, he got really tired while meditating. One way that we can overcome this is if you're sitting in meditation and you find yourself just really feeling low energy, you can look up and look straight ahead, and you can also visualize a ball of light in your body that shoots out through the top of your head very quickly. And you can do that again and again and again, and it helps bring your energy up. I've actually done this, and at least for me, this works. Other times, though, we find ourselves really high-strung and wired, and we're sort of hopping on our meditation seat. We can't seem to calm down. And then you can do exactly the opposite. Make sure your eyes are lowered, and then visualize a ball of light entering through the top of your head and sinking slowly, 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 slowly down, 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 down. And do that again and again and again. And that will help to bring your energy down. I've done this too, and at least for me, this works. There are ways that we can work with our meditation where we're at in that meditation session. Whether we're too energetic or too tired, there are ways that we can adjust our meditation. And then there are other problems. This is a really big one. If you meditate for a long time and you develop the ability to sit for longer and longer periods, then you might have some sort of special experience. You'll feel the whole world fall away and you'll see light or something. Or some kind of special experience, some sort of special feeling. Then people get really attached to these special feelings, and then they meditate in order to have these special experiences. Now, these are nice if they motivate you to continue practicing, unless you cling to these special experiences, because that will just hold you back in your practice. You'll go chasing after something that happened once. And that's not a whole lot different than your mind wandering around. There you're instead of grasping at this and that, you're grasping at one thing. Chasing after this thing that's already gone, this special experience that's already gone. So if you ever have some sort of special feeling or special experience in your meditation, let it go. That's the best advice that I can give. Don't get caught up in it. So these are some of the problems that can arise in meditation. But obviously there are rewards for meditation as well. Maybe rewards isn't the right word, but physical rewards, lower blood pressure. There's research showing that your blood pressure will be lower. The stress hormones in your body will be lower as well. And then, as I've talked about on many occasions, I've noticed one of the greatest benefits for me from Dharma study as well as meditation practice is the ability to observe my own mind. So I still get carried away with thoughts, but if I'm trying to be mindful, if I'm trying to hold my awareness, then when like a negative emotion comes up, like anger or something, instead of just getting pulled away by it, I found that I've developed the ability to usually step back. So I'm still feeling the emotion, but I'm not drowning in it. And then it doesn't take control. It doesn't take over. And then I don't start screaming at my sisters or whatever, right? This is a real huge benefit of meditation practice. Being able to see what's happening in your mind and then being able to pull the mind back when it's going in the wrong direction. You can avoid all kinds of suffering with that ability. Usually what I find happens is the flash of anger, for example, will come, but the follow-up doesn't happen because I'm able to remind myself, oh, okay, this is anger, it doesn't feel good, I'm probably going to say something stupid or do something stupid, so I don't want to go there. And then I can calm myself down and actually deal with the problem rather than drown in anger, for example. So this is a huge benefit of meditation, at least as I've seen it at work in my own life. So these are some of the benefits of meditation then. So I guess now, let me see what time it is. It's a little after 3:30, so I've actually been talking for about 20 minutes. So why don't I stop here, and then I'll see what questions or thoughts you might have.